Hi, I am Allie Camilletti, and you are listening to Snack Leadership. I will be talking about everything leadership, broken down into bite-sized pieces. You will hear what different leadership skills look like in organizations and how they can rise teams up or take them down. I help leaders build resilience and improve performance by bringing awareness to opportunity behaviors in my business. Spark your mindset. I provide leadership and sales coaching, as well as team building and guest speaking. My hope is for you to feel inspiration and to create a spark in your mindset. Hi everyone. Today we are talking about self-actualization. It is the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities. Today I am recording on New Year's Eve of 2024, and funny enough, this is my 99th podcast recording. So we're covering self-actualization, which just feels so perfect. There are no mistakes. I really believe that. I have just gotten back from a trip to Peru, and I have family there. I've gone every 5 years. This has been my 4th visit. And this trip, I had taken my mother, who is 72 years old, and my daughter, who is 7 years old. We ended up traveling through the Sacred Valley in Peru, through Machu Picchu, and then all of the different ruins that are there, which are just amazing. One of our favorites was the salt mines. The salt mines in the Sacred Valley are these salt squares where they mine the salt, and it is a cooperative through 200 plus different families, and they sell their salt everywhere. And that was part of what I brought back, was some different types of salt. And I will tell you, game changer. I think I'm taking my cooking skills possibly to the next level, if that is even possible, because it's not an area I really focus on. But then we spent time in Cusco, which is an amazing community. Believe it or not, 500,000 people live there, but it's cobblestone streets and it's higher elevation. It's like 12,000 on elevation. And then we ended up going back to Lima and up to Chimbote, where my family farm is that my grandmother grew up on. And her youngest brother still runs the farm. Over the years, there have been different types of farming that has happened there, but now he has been doing sugarcane for years now. And so being able to spend that time with my family just fills my heart every time. So when we talk about self-actualization and my journey of getting to where I'm at right now, which we're never done, ever done growing and getting to that level of self-actualization. But as I reflected from this last trip, I really noticed that I am really at a good place with my work. The last time I left, I was like, oh, wow, I've got to change some things. I didn't like how much materialism was happening in my life, how hard I was working to pay for everything, and some big changes came after that last trip. One of them was I was paying a lot to have an in-home nanny so I could spend that time with my daughter. And I ended up having her go into a preschool where she was able to learn Spanish as well, which was awesome. I focused more on eating at home, and then I just shifted how much I was working. And I ended up transitioning through a marriage that just was not serving what I was looking for in my growth. So I've had big changes since I've been to Peru last. And as I was reflecting on what do I need to change as coming back, and there were just little touches because I had made some big changes. And one of the little touches was, I'm working towards it, but really focusing on the food that I put into my body and that my daughter has available to her. So that's looking like really reducing processed foods, big time. So when we go in and we talk about self-actualization, today what I want to do is I want to share with you this article from Healthline, and it's a realistic guide to becoming self-actualized. When they talk about it, it can mean a lot of things depending on who you ask and the research that I did. Now, one of the most broadly accepted definitions comes from Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. So he says, a humanistic psychologist, right? He described self-actualization as the process of becoming everything you are capable of becoming. Wow, that's such a big thing. Everything you are capable of becoming. And as I reflect, am I everything I'm capable of becoming? No, no, no. Have I made huge strides over the years in my personal self-growth? I want to say I've been working on it since I turned 40. And while we were in Peru, I turned 52. And 52 just happens to also be the age that my father passed. So when I was realizing that, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm really in a good place and very healthy. So different than where my father was, obviously, when he passed at 52. But I am really on that road to becoming everything I'm capable of becoming, without a doubt. Now, Kim Egel, who I'll refer to and is talked about in this article, she's a San Diego therapist. She explains it as the ability to become the best version of yourself. And that is what I have really talked about for me, is I want to be the best version of myself. And that can look different. And sometimes I'm shifting on what that is, because I can tend to have big ideas and want to do a lot with my career, but I also have a 7-year-old, and that has really shifted my focus. And so the best version of myself right now is becoming the best version of myself for me, but also for the daughter that I am raising. Only you can determine what self-actualization really means for you. For everybody, it's different. As we heard with Laura, her big piece that shifted her was the passing of her husband and what that was like for her. That made a big shift for her to go and shift into self-actualization. Now, let's go back to Maslow's pyramid, because I don't know how many people are completely familiar with it, but as I was revisiting it and I looked at his hierarchy of needs, he talks about there's 4 basic types, and the lowest stage is food, water, and shelter. The next is safety needs. And as I'm just kind of reflecting for myself on these steps, I've been really fortunate to always have food, water, and shelter became questionable sometimes in my younger years, where I was having to ebb and flow, but it always ended up turning out because I was on my own pretty early at 17. And then the feeling safe, that's a huge one, because we can say, oh, safe. Is it safe in Lima? Ooh, that's a big, big city. 11 million people. There were many times I didn't feel safe, but what's safety mean to you? Safety can be physical, but it also can be emotional. And I did not feel emotionally safe for a very long time. And that was one of my big focuses that I didn't even realize the last 5 years, is really feeling safe with who I am and the people that I surround myself with. So the third includes belonging or relationship needs. This is a big one for me. I grew up in a situation where I didn't feel I belonged, ever. And what I did to create that sense of belonging is I really surrounded myself with strong women. And I feel so grateful. I have the best friendships I could ever have. And those are really important to me. But that's one of the things when I go back to Peru, I feel like I belong with that family. And I felt it the first time I saw them. And they are the coolest people. And they just create that sense of feeling like you belong. The fourth stage involves respect or esteem needs, both from the self and others. I did not have a lot of self respect. I didn't really love myself for a very long time. I didn't know it. And I think that comes from the other stages as I was searching for that belonging and to feel that love. And my work was to get to a place where I love myself now. I don't need anyone else to love me. And that really affects the type of romantic relationship that I will choose to be in. So, the fifth stage, the tip of the pyramid, self-actualization. And that's what we're going to dig into. Now, it's important as you explore self-actualization, as you go on that route, that there's different ways to approach it. Okay? It doesn't mean being perfect or things always going smoothly. You can become self-actualized and still face difficulties. Now, what I think it's about is how you respond to those difficulties. A huge part of it is recognizing your limits in addition to focusing on your unique strengths, whether those involve practical skills, parenting, artistic talents, or emotional insight. So from there, you would live life in a way that best utilizes your strengths while taking steps to achieve your dreams, both large and small. So, how do I live my life? My biggest dream for the longest time was to be a mother. And now I have it. And I am not going to squander this time. I have my one opportunity to be the mom that I want to be for my daughter and for myself, because of course it's healing my inner child. Absolutely. So that's a big dream of mine. Now, let's talk about what it looks like with self-actualization. So they say generally, self-actualized people live independently. They don't structure their lives around the opinions of others. They may not seem swayed by social feedback. They also have an appreciation for solitude and don't always need company. Ooh, that's me. Not to be harsh, but I don't always care what people think. It's just not how I roll. And this can look a variety of ways. Like, I'm never that person that is into materialistic. Like, people will talk about different types of brand names, and I'm clueless. Like, I don't even care. It's not something that's important to me. Solitude, I crave it. I'm an introvert. I love it. I want to spend time alone. It is my happy place. Another is have a sense of reality and truth. So this is being grounded and in touch with actual possibilities and have an easier time detecting falseness from other people. Yeah, I was just talking about this with a friend, and she was saying that she struggles to detect falseness from other people. And so when she gets a little glimmer of it, she kind of stays clear. And I, of course, have had my struggles with this, but I am very clear on the people that I want to surround myself with that feel like there's connection and there's trust. And I will kind of separate myself from others where I don't feel that. Absolutely. Comfortable with the unknown. Whoo! Don't mind knowing what the future is going to unfold. I am good with that. Like, I've talked about that I struggle with anxiety. It's just part of me and who I am. And anxiety is fear of fear of the future, I guess it can be. But in the big picture, I feel really good about it, and I'm open to whatever is meant to come my way. Have compassion, kindness, and acceptance. So this goes both for myself and for others that I encounter. And I feel that this is definitely the case. I give myself that compassion and kindness regularly. Like, yeah, I'm trying to be this great mother, but I am not perfect. And I make mistakes and I recover with her and we talk about it. And others, Mel Robbins just put out this reel that was so good. And it was about empathy, but it was about we just never know what's going on in people's lives. And she gave, I want to say, 3 different scenarios, and they were all very different, of where people were judging others. And one that was just the most basic was somebody on the road judging somebody that was driving kind of erratically. And so it's a snapshot of like the person judging them and then what was happening in those people's lives. And the gentleman that was driving, it scanned back to what had happened, and he had just left the hospital and his wife was dying. And he was just distraught. And here this guy was honking his horn and screaming and cussing at him. Like, just give people the benefit of the doubt. You never know what's going on in their lives. And I really focus on living that way. It's very important to me. Having a good sense of humor. I laugh at myself all the time. And humor in challenging situations. You know, we just traveled 32 hours to get to Peru door to door. And there were so many opportunities to be irritated or upset. And I am all about just letting things roll and laughing them off. There were so many times to laugh, like, just let it go. Enjoy meaningful friendships. Yeah, I do that a lot. It's a big focus of my life, the people I surround myself with, and the conversations we have, the connection we have, the vulnerability that happens, the transparency. It's just part of who I am. Having a sense of spontaneity. So today's New Year's Eve, and somebody asked what I was doing today, and I was like, well, I'm working till 1, but after that, I'm kind of like whatever inspires me. I don't have any plans. It's pretty typical for me. But just let whatever's meant to flow, flow. And I will be happy with whatever it is. Being creative. Creativity doesn't just refer to artistic abilities. Some self-actualized people might have a knack for looking at problems in new ways or thinking along different lines than other people do. They may simply lack inhibition, another characteristic of a spontaneous nature. For me, my creativity is my social media reels, my personal ones. I love doing this. First thing, I love photography. I love pictures. I love capturing moments and capturing things that make me smile or laugh. It's my favorite thing to do. And then putting all of those together and then adding music, because I love music too, is so fun for me. That is a bit of my creative outlet that I love so much. Enjoy peak experiences. So a peak experience describes a moment of euphoria, wonder, and joy, often characterized by a sense of feeling connected to the universe. I want to say that was my entire Peru trip. There wasn't a day that I didn't feel that. And we were always seeing something that was magical, like being in the Sacred Valley in Peru is just magical, no matter what you do. Mornings waking up to the birds just so intensely chirping and the hummingbirds that were everywhere. They're opposite times of year, so we were going into their summer months. And just being in those moments and really enjoying them. Focus on things bigger than themselves. Yes. So seeing the big picture instead of considering just myself. And this may dedicate, lives to a mission, cause, or deeper purpose. You can do this in so many different ways, but I am such a small part of what's on this earth, and focusing on that for myself. Stop and smell the roses. Appreciate each positive or joyful moment. Talks about sunrises. At the most amazing sunrises this week. My daughter is with my ex-husband right now, and it's been gorgeous. And so I do sunrises, and it has been beautiful. Pink clouds. Uh, we have this beautiful blue heron that's been on at the river, and beavers. There was a big old beaver chomping on its breakfast this morning, and the water just looks pink because the clouds are pink. Like, really enjoying those moments. A sense of justice, having compassion and care for people, and working to prevent acts of injustice or unethical behavior. Another one is possessing, it gives a word that I cannot even say, Gemeinschaftgefühl? I don't know. It says, or social feeling. This word is coined by Alfred Adler, describes an interest and concern for the general well-being of other humans. Yeah. So we look at what self-actualization, those different characteristics we just went through that most people have when they're at that place. And from Hegel, she says her perspective, self-actualization is a constant work in progress. Yes. In our humanness, we are never going to stay completely the same. I hope not. I always want to be changing. So how do we work towards this? If you're like, oh gosh, I have some opportunity. Well, here's some tips. Practice acceptance. Learn to accept what comes as it comes. Can help you achieve self-actualization. And I will say, when the people I work with, the biggest thing that gets in the way is perfectionism with that. Yeah. And so really just letting go and letting things flow is so important. Living spontaneously. Try enjoying each moment as it comes without trying to worry about what you should do, right? Just being in the moment can feel really, really safe to stick with what you know, but fight that urge. So I have really low blood pressure. I went to the doctor yesterday, and the gentleman that took my blood pressure, he said it out loud and he goes, "Are you okay? Is this normal?" I said, "It's totally normal." And he's like, "Okay." And so I had a friend that wanted to sauna, and she's like, threw it out there. She's like, "Well, do you want a sauna?" And I said, "Yeah." And that was living spontaneously for me. Because of the low blood pressure, I get scared that if I get too hot, I can faint. I've had fainting episodes, so I try to protect that. But I will tell you what, that infrared sauna was amazing. I felt like my body had been cleansed the next day. So glad that I did that. Getting comfortable with your own company. Oh, I was not comfortable with my own company for so long. I hated being alone. And I was always searching for that belonging and connection, and I wouldn't get it. And then I would numb through it because I was frustrated that I couldn't get it. And now I am just so comfortable being alone. It's kind of crazy. I really enjoy spending my alone time. So getting in that place, if you notice that you are doing those same things of trying to fill the void, that's your work right there. Appreciate the small things in life. Take time to appreciate aspects of your day-to-day life that often go ignored in the busyness of living. This can be a delicious meal, cuddles from your pet, good weather, a job you enjoy, just being in that moment and really enjoying it. And this speaks to the living authentically. You know, they talk about living authentically a lot. So living authentically really involves honoring your truth and avoiding things like dishonesty, manipulation, or denial of your needs. I really focus on living in my values. It's so important to me. And not worrying about what other people say or suggest you should do. I mean, I have had people over the years that are like, "Oh, Allie, I mean, being self-employed and having a kid, and it's just, you know what? No, I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing. And it's amazing. I am in the best place I could be right now. And I wouldn't want to be any other place." develop compassion. Go find that Mel Robbins. Go find that reel that she does on compassion. It's something I'm going to be sharing with the people that I work with. It's so good. Talk to a therapist. I've been in therapy for so long. I don't know. One therapist. Eeks, I think I'm in 9 years now. I can't even believe it because I know it was before Chella, and Chella's 7.5. And a big part of why I went to the therapist was through the adoption process. It was really, really rough for me. And so I'm a big advocate of therapy, talk therapy, EMDR therapy. I've talked about this before. If talk therapy doesn't work for you, figure out alternatives. I've done energy work. I've sat in harmonic eggs. I do acupuncture because for me, it's a body therapy. I have done a little bit of it all. So find out what works for you and just do it. But things to keep in mind is like Maslow believed true self-actualization was fairly rare. And Egel, the therapist, agrees. So how many people do you know who are living their life 100% true to themselves? Most of the people that I know are not. There's always something. And I had a good friend that I just walked with the other day, and we were talking, and she said that she's changed to have more balance in her life. And I was so happy for her because she has 2 kids and she has been working crazy. And she said, yeah, I don't know if I was in this place. Last time we talked, I said, no, you were not. Because we were talking and you were talking about how you were going to have to be doing all of these. She does horse work and shows. And I was just so happy that everything will work itself out. But that's part of her self-actualization, is to have that balance for her own growth and just peace. So Egel says growth never ends until the journey of life is complete. Yeah. And I hope it doesn't, because that would make me wonder if my life is going to end soon. And I don't want to end my life soon. I have so much more to see with Chella being so young and the experiences I still want to have. So reaching a point of self-actualization has to be maintained, just as a level of peak fitness must be maintained by consistent healthy habits and behaviors. So how do I maintain mine? I focus on gratitude. I focus on self-care. And I constantly work to better myself. They say true self-actualization may be more of a long-term, even lifetime goal than a quick road to self-improvement. Yes. Working to maximize your potential and become your best self is a great way to lead a more fulfilling life. So I leave with you from Abraham Maslow the quote, "In any given moment, we have 2 options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety." Thank you for tuning in to Snack Leadership. I hope you felt inspiration, motivation, and felt your mindset spark. Snack Leadership is recorded and produced by myself, Ali Camilletti, and music by Shireen Amini.